Oh, hello and good evening
Good evening.
in Europe and good day wherever you are. Good night. Michael Thomas is far away. I think it's morning, very early morning. Hello. Yeah, welcome. Wisdom Chat. This is the Wisdom Chat. It is between our seasons. We have finished the season about a month ago and we will begin a new season next month. And so in between we are chatting, and we are chatting with people who you might already know. There is Bettina from Denmark. Hello, Bettina.
Hello.
And Lawrence. Hello, Lawrence.
Where is he from?
He's from Atlanta, you said.
No, he's from Santa Fe, New Mexico.
Santa Fe.
Yes,
I don't know. The geography is too difficult for me. Anyway, and I'm Heidi Hörnlein, and this one is my husband.
Oh, she's talking about me. I'm Mark Davenport. Yes.
And we are in Italy. And we are, for many years, practitioners of Integral. And that's how we got to know each other and how we created this chat, because we all have done a course by Ken Wilber, although we knew him before. And this Ken Wilber course was called Superhuman Potential.
Operating System.
Superhuman, something like this. Yeah. And before we begin, and today is a special event because Lawrence will guide you in a relaxation, in a deep process, and he will use Mark as a guinea pig. And don't worry when we switch off our camera, because he needs to elaborate his process. But before, I want to say tomorrow, Ken Wilber, the one we took the course with and the one who has written all these wonderful books who allow you to understand the world really from in a different way, and which when I came into contact with, really it was a big change, life-changing. Yeah, for you too, and I think for everybody of us. I think we talked about this in the very first chat. So tomorrow is this event, and if you look on the, is it the left side when you see it? I think you see it the other way around, on the right side.
Yeah,
this side.
Yeah,
okay.
Over there.
Here is a link. It is not very well readable. It's called bit.ly/superpotential, and when you click on that, no, not click on that, you need to write it. Unfortunately, it's not clickable here now. Then you can register for this talk tomorrow by Ken Wilber. And if you are interested in creating a better world and to understand this world and how we can do, so you should really do that. So, did I talk enough? Oh dear, what is that?
We have somebody calling. In the meantime, I think I will introduce Lawrence. And he's our star tonight. He's our presenter. And he's a fellow who began to explore the interrelation of spiritual practice and personal development. Oh my goodness, in 1968, when he was a mere child of 16, and he used himself as the experimenter and the experimentee. He's explored many different approaches to different aspects of the one being, what we may call self and body, the inner and the outer of our existence. That constitutes soma, which is an old word that refers to body, the incarnated self. And his investigations led him to the development of a very powerful and very accessible consciousness integration procedure, a series of procedures actually, which he calls the TetraSeed Modulations. It's to help one get unstuck from habitual conditioning and for awakening to the ground of being that underlies and is the substance of our ordinary day-to-day existence. He teaches these procedures in person, one-on-one, and online to individuals and to groups.
And today he does it to us.
Yes,
and he did
does.
it before.
Yeah.
And you had a good experience as far as I remember.
Yes, I did. I had a very good experience. I was kind of quietly in the background lurking while someone else was being put through this formal exercise. And I worked on a problem I had with my back, and the pain disappeared because there's some magic here. It works on others who aren't actively involved. There's a
So
contagion.
that's why we ask you to participate,
Yeah.
not just, listen to it, but really do the process with us and, as if it was for you.
Mhm.
You are only the guinea pig. Okay?
Yep. All right.
Is it enough what we need to say?
That's enough. We did say he's from Santa Fe, New Mexico. He works online, worldwide. Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, so now to you, and we mute ourselves and
we listen to. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So first thing I want to do is bring down to earth some fancy terms that I use that Mark used just now in the introduction. And one of them is the word soma. Soma is an ancient Greek word which means a living, self-aware person. In other words, you, the listener. It's not anything other than your sense of yourself as you are to yourself. The internal is all of your feelings, thoughts, attitudes, beliefs, all that you identify as your subjective self. And the outer is what we identify as body that we see. In other words, an other person that we see as a body, but we don't have their viewpoint of their interior self the way we do of our own interior self-sense. So they look like a body to us, and we look like a body to them. So that's the word soma. And the field in which I operate in my profession and in my exploration work is called somatics or somatic education. So now you know the word soma refers to you as you experience yourself. Now another term that he used that I coined is TetraSeed. Tetra means four, and seed in the ordinary sense of the term is that from which we grow. So plants grow from seeds and living creatures grow from eggs. They have the same situation and function. The reason I call it that is because it consists of four parts, which are familiar to everybody, but maybe not quite put together this way in our understanding until now. And those four parts are attention, intention, memory, and imagination. And I'm going to go into that a little more just to make sure that everybody has an easy, clear understanding. But before I do that, I want to draw the link between those four terms and four terms that Ken Wilber and Integral in general uses, which are eros, agape, agency, and communion. I'm going to make those easily understandable. Where I used the term attention, the corresponding term would be communion. Communion is the sense of being connected and experiencing something. And in order to do that, you've got to put your attention on it. If you don't, it's either so far in the background you don't notice it or not in your experience at all. So attention and communion go together. They're just effectively two words for the same thing. So we're talking about your attention, how you point your sensing of your experience to be able to experience an item of your preference. So you say your attention right now is on your video screen and on what you're hearing. You're pointing your senses at those. And that's how communion works. We point ourselves at something. The next term, I'm getting spaced out just contemplating this, intention. Intention is our push for things to be different. In the language of integral, the term used is agency. An agent is someone who carries out an action. So agency and intention are two views or two ways of describing the same thing. Memory is the persistence of any pattern of experience. So when you're remembering something, you're pointing your attention at some experience that has a recognizable pattern. It could be color, it could be shape, it could be behavior, anything recognizable. Now, the integral term for that, what was I talking about? I'm getting so spaced out just talking about this. Oh, we're talking about, what was it? What was the term? What was the term?
Agency. Were you talking about memory?
Memory, which I forgot. See? So it ceased to persist in me just then. It vanished. The memory vanished. So that's a perfect illustration. Now, in the language of integral, the term used is agape, which is loving enfoldment. It's inclusiveness. And it's generally inclusiveness of something that has already happened or is happening. Okay? So agape and memory are two versions of the same thing. The last one is imagination or emergence. The reason I use two terms is because humans have imagination, but it may not apply to other living creatures the same way. They, instead of having imagination, may just emerge into new developments of behavior or maybe new adaptation as a species. It's newness. And newness goes together with the integral term eros, which is the attractive quality of the new. So it's the counterpart to agape, which isn't the new, it's the already existing. So eros is the emergence of newness. Now, what does that have to these kinds of procedures, this TetraSeed set of procedures, or I call them modulations because we change them, is this. Every experience that we may have has those four qualities. There's no exception. They all have some sort of memory, otherwise you couldn't keep your attention on it, right? You wouldn't know what you were paying attention to. They all have attention or you wouldn't have an experience. They all have some intention or it would be meaningless to you. It wouldn't affect you at all. It wouldn't even be noticed. And it all has an emergent quality. That means that as we experience anything, it's always being new, just as you don't know the next words I'm about to say. And by the way, neither do I. And neither do you about your own next thought. It's always spontaneously emerging in newness. It has an attractive quality, otherwise we could just dismiss our thinking out of hand. We're attracted by our own thinking. So those four qualities, attention, intention, memory, and imagination, are the essence of every experience that we have in life. Now, it's a common experience of people to get stuck with kinds of experience we don't like, or to be stuck not having kinds of experiences that we would like to have. In either case, in those four TetraSeed aspects, there are stucknesses. That means either it's a failure of imagination, so that memory is taken over and we feel stuck in an experience, or our attention is captivated by something and we just can't stop thinking about that thing. Or we're stuck trying to get something to happen or not to happen, resistance or refusal of experience, and we're stuck in that. And so the experience persists over time, and we feel trapped. And what was the last one? Attention, intention, memory, and imagination. So we actually have covered those four. Whenever we're stuck, it's something, one or more of those four is stuck or it's not functioning very well. If you want to get unstuck, first thing we have to do is recover our awareness of those four aspects. It can be done very quickly, as you'll see as we get into this. And then by becoming aware of it, we recover our freedom to change it. Without awareness of it, we have no capacity to change it. You can't change what you can't keep your attention on. Okay? So what I've done with Mark and with others is to take them through a process that I call the gold key release. And the gold key release is a structured series of mental emotional steps or intuitive steps that put us back in touch with attention, intention, memory, and imagination around a particular issue or item. So Mark chose back pain, and the back pain faded out because, in fact, it was self-generated, but without awareness by Mark. It was running on habit. And generally, when I do this procedure with people, two things happen. The one I've been discussing, which the matter of getting unstuck, that's only half of it. The other half is this. It brings about an awakening to the formless ground of being, which is not outside us but is our own nature. Now, when we talk about something, there's a little trap that we in this age fall into commonly, which is to try to understand it mentally. Doesn't work. You can't get those things before you have the experience of them. You can't get an understanding of it mentally. Moreover, even if you do understand it, the ground of being is not a mental thing. Thoughts and mind arise within that aware ground of being, which is our own nature. But we can't get at it by trying to understand it. What we can do, though, is to loosen our grip on attention, intention, memory, and imagination. And as that grip dissolves, we effortlessly and spontaneously fall into the intuition of the ground of being that contained attention, intention, memory, and imagination. It's effortless, and it's felt, one might call it as a kind of relaxation, but it is a profound relaxation, but it's more than that. It's an awakening of a kind of intuition. It's blatant. That means it's obvious as a shoe or a foot. It's that obvious. But it's hidden generally by the noise of thinking and emotion and general other distractions. So when those begin to dissolve and fall away, we fall back into the natural state that in the Zen tradition has been called your face before your parents were born, or original nature, or original mind, okay? And that falling into that state makes available what in the Zen tradition is called beginner's mind, which is an open, attentive state unfettered by everything we think we know, right? Obvious. Beginners are not fettered by all kinds of pre-existing knowledge and opinions. Now, just as an aside, the gold key release is the first one I teach because I teach it in common language, that is to say, words with which we're familiar, like the words true, untrue, mattering, not mattering, attention, intention. And so I teach people the procedure first as the gold key release so that people get an experience of the passage from being absorbed in mind and life to that formless ground of being condition that is natural to all of us, native to all of us. When you go back and forth along that pathway enough times and it becomes familiar to you, then when you're doing the other procedures that follow, you're traversing familiar ground, but you're experiencing different kinds of effects intended by those other procedures. And I've written those up and made recordings of those procedures so that you can get to them by yourself and use them by yourself once you know the value of it from this experience. So, without further ado, I'm going to guide Mark through the procedure, and Mark is going to be on camera to listen to the steps and then turn off the camera to do them. So now you'll know why his image of the living Mark disappears and is replaced by a scene, a natural scene. It's because he's running the step. When he's done with it and ready for the next step, he'll turn his camera on again. I invite you to follow along with the steps and do them for some item in your life that you would like to change. We generally choose something that matters to us. So in your life, there might be something that either you feel stuck with or you want to get to have happen. If it's something you want to get to have happen, you'll encounter the things that are in the way of it happening and be able to dissolve them. If it's something you're stuck with, you'll find that dissolving. And we will cycle through the process until the charge or the grip is gone and you may have trouble remembering what it was. In fact, that's the sign of a good completion of the process. You can't even remember what you're working on anymore. So, Mark, talk to me.
Okay, I'm talking to you.
All right then. So, now, first thing, before I begin, is there anything I should have said that I didn't say?
I think it's okay.
Okay.
I believe so.
And have you got an item you want to play with in this process?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is get familiar with feeling that item, because people tend to think instead of feeling. And so I'm going to guide Mark through the 4 elements of the TetraSeed, and you'll see how it's done and be able to do it yourself. So, Mark, you've got the item.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, attend to it. That means put your attention on it. And here's where you could turn off your camera so I'll know when you're ready for the next step and then turn it on. Good. Now remember the item. And you turn off the camera and turn on when you're ready. Good. Now imagine the item. Now attend to it. Now imagine it. Now remember it. Now attend to it. Now feel your intention about it. Now remember it. Now imagine it. Now intend it. Now imagine it. Now remember it. Now intend it. Now attend to it. Good. Now, do you have a better sense of it than you did before?
Yes, yes, I do. It's become quite vivid.
Excellent. So now we can do the gold key release. So feeling that, notice your intention, or better still, let me start again. Feeling it, notice the location in you where you feel it. Notice its size and shape. Notice the intensity of your intention toward it, about it, and in it. Notice how it all matters. Notice how it mattering involves you. Think to yourself, it's true, it's untrue, it's true, it's true. Think to yourself, it's untrue, it's true, it's untrue, it's untrue. Notice how feeling it's true involves remembering. Notice how feeling it's untrue involves remembering. Notice how remembering involves imagining. Stop imagining. Allow it to dissolve and dissipate. Awaken. Is it more, less, the same, or gone? Let me know.
It is less.
Okay, so take what's left. Notice where you feel it in you, its size and shape. Notice the intensity of your intention toward it, about it, and in it. Notice how it all matters. Notice how it mattering involves you. Think to yourself, it's true, it's untrue, it's true, it's true. Think to yourself, it's untrue, it's true, it's untrue, it's untrue. Notice how feeling it's true involves remembering. Notice how feeling it's untrue involves remembering. Notice how remembering involves imagining. Stop imagining. Let it dissolve and dissipate. Awaken. Is it more, less, the same, or gone?
It's virtually gone. It's a little smoke and mirrors at this point.
Okay. Can you remember what it was?
Some other things have arisen in the meantime.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, by the way, that's one of the things that sometimes happens or often happens. When it loses its force, stuff that has more force drowns it out, and you have trouble recovering what it was.
Yeah.
So if you feel complete, then we'll stop after 2 cycles. In practice, it might take that much, or it might take 4. Really heavy, thick stuff might take more than that.
Okay. I think we can stop. I think this is quite dramatic, you know.
Okay.
If it's not done, I'll get another chance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If only from the recording of this sequence. But
Mm-hmm.
as I mentioned earlier, I have pages on, it's the blog called Full Spectrum Somatics, which give all of the explanations and all of the instructions in both written form and in a coaching recording. So those who want to use this or explore it more will provide the link to that page, and you can have at it on your own.
Mm-hmm.
So I want at this point bring up a comment from Michael Thomas. He says concentrations and habits are always contributing factors for everyone. I agree, Lawrence. And I would invite you who have done in the audience the process with us, please write your experience and how it came out for you. And hi, Margarita. She loves the idea of feeling. Let me bring her up. Here it is.
Yes, he does. Thank you, Margarita.
So thank you, Lawrence. This was amazing. I mean, I needed to switch on and off. I don't think anybody can do the process doing at the same time this work. Maybe you need another form of feedback when you do it with a client. So,
usually they just say, I'm ready or ready. It turns out that when you're being coached or with enough familiarity, you can run the procedure by yourself. And if you can run it by yourself, you can push a button to turn on or off a camera. But I will tell you, when I run it myself, it's as I described. Sometimes in the middle of the process, I have to effort deliberately to remember what I'm working on because it's dissolving underneath me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I'm really curious, dear watchers. I'm trying to find out if there's something written here. Write us, and we will come back to you. I mean, Lawrence, I'm not an expert on that. Anyway, it was very interesting, and I will do it on the replay. And I invite everybody to do it too and check out Lawrence's website. You don't have the lower third, so do you want to say what your website is?
You know, I really should just give people a clickable link here. So how about I set that up here?
You can't. We should have done it before, and so you can post it in the comment stream, and then we can put it on YouTube too.
All right, we'll do that.
Just say it now loud.
Well, if you were to Google the phrase "the gold key release" with quotation marks, so only that phrase shows up, it will bring you to the page that contains these instructions, and at the bottom of that page you will find links to the other procedures and to 2 articles related to these procedures. One is called The Ultimate Structure of All Senses of Identity. You don't need to remember because you'll see the link at the bottom of that page, the Gold Key Release page. And the other item is Esoteric Somatics and Tibetan Buddhism. Oh, looky, Bettina put up the link.
Yeah, but she put it up in the inside chat. We have to transport it in the outside.
Okay.
Oh, she did it even here. Oh, wonderful.
Oh, Bettina.
And, yeah, Bettina, how was it for you? And we have to say hello to Rodrigo. He sneaked in a little bit later. And if you watched the episode from last week Rodrigo did a little process, but a very small one because it was spontaneous with me. I had headache, and it was much better last time. So if you want to check out the 2 different methods, maybe we find another day where you can work a little bit longer, Rodrigo, if you want to. Say hello, and you're muted. Yeah, okay.
Hello.
Very good, very good.
He is from Brazil.
Mm-hmm.
So
Sao Paulo, no?
Yeah.
Yes, from Brazil and several areas of Brazil, but I also want to take the advantage of this little time to speak out and say thank you to Lawrence. I definitely am curious to look into this technology a little further and see how it mixes with my own stuff. So thank you. I'm very curious.
Good. Bettina, for you?
Yeah, I tried it first for a couple of weeks ago. We did it with Lawrence, and I've been using it a couple of times since, and I find it very powerful, and also now. So it certainly makes sense. It resonates with me. And I also want to say that we got this idea last week also because we wanted to invite everybody to do this process and then focus on a common problem we think the world has. And that could be like climate change or whatever, poverty or famine or something that we want, low consciousness, I don't know. And then we could all focus on the same object and then do the process together. And because someone said, why can't we do this on the world? And I was like, of course we can. So it could be interesting to do that at some point, sort of set a common intention, and then see if we could maybe initiate some subtle vibrations to help heal the world.
Yeah, it would be fine if we could address and find more people from the world to come in and listen to it and then do another process for the world. This would be a good idea.
Yeah.
I'm all for that, and I want people to have enough experience with this for their own issues that when we do it as a group, they feel comfortable and smooth in doing the steps.
Oh, I'm very, very smooth. I'm very
so I see that.
Okay, so I think for today we just leave it here. Next week I think we will do a chat and see what arises, as we always did, and bookmark the 6th of May is the first Wisdom Factory episode of the next season, and it will be about wisdom technologies. And actually this is a wisdom technology, Lawrence. I think we have to get you into the official series to find a space to get you in.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, and as I said at the beginning, tomorrow is the event by Ken Wilber, and you can register for that with the link you see there.
Yep.
bit.ly/superpotential. And Bettina has also posted it in the chat.
Yeah.
So thank you for having been with us, and we see you hopefully next week.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.